is Angela Kerr with Passion Fruit Networking Group, and I'm really excited to be here at Metropolitan State University of Denver today, where the Center for Innovation and Create MSU Denver are bringing Own It 2013, a party for the arts, to Auraria's tri-institutional campus and the Denver metro area community. Today we celebrate Create MSU Denver's business incubator for the creative entrepreneur with 4 fashion shows and 5 local award-winning bands. A total of 36 entrepreneurial ventures stepped up to sponsor the event to bring a free concert back to school for the students here at Auraria. Joining us today is Harrison Welsheimer from the Music Munch, the brains behind music, who will be conducting our interviews of all of the bands and a dignitary to appear later. So how are you doing, Harrison?
Doing great, Angela. Thank you.
Wonderful. So good to see you.
You too.
Harrison and I met in April of 2013 when he inquired about interviewing the Driftin' Sons, which is a band that I'm the managing member of. I am so excited that we have collaborated on so many events, and currently we're working on some ideas for a networking series which will focus on multiple topics to support the musical entrepreneur. So we will host those networking events right here at Create MSU Denver, so watch for that coming up real quick.
Definitely.
So before we get started, Harrison, I thought you might give our listening audience some background.
Yeah, you got it.
All right.
Definitely. So my start in music came at around 10 years old when, like most members of school, you decide, it's time to join band and pick an instrument. And so I thought Louis Armstrong was a saxophone player. So that's the one I picked. So truly my decision was made out of complete ignorance. And it wasn't until it was too late that I realized he was a trumpet player. And I was stuck with the saxophone. So
Mom and Dad were not turning the instrument in.
No, that's right. It was already paid for. So, but fortunately, I did love playing it. And I'd say around age 13, 14, that I decided this was my voice and that music was going to be my life. That came about because of lots of honor bands, competitions. I was in a rock band, with my middle school buddies. And it was just the passion, the energy that really drove my decision. I thought, there's nothing I love better than this. Even though I was young, I hadn't experienced everything, but
what's better than
you
music?
Just knew.
What's better than music?
Exactly.
I ask you.
Exactly. And there's just a point where something inside you sparks and you just know. And so went right into college knowing exactly what I wanted, which was saxophone performance. Studied with Dr. Turpin at the University of Wyoming. And I knew what I was going to do, which was I was going to go to grad school and then get my doctorate and then become a professor, a saxophone teacher. And I have to admit, I did all of that right up to plan until after my grad school auditions, and I thought, I'm actually not sure if I want to be a university professor. I had a lot of other ideas that were definitely channeling through my mind. And so I tried grad school anyway, dropped out after a year, realizing that definitely wasn't my fit.
Not your path.
Not my path. And so that's where Music Munch started to come in, was I realized that my problem with the path I was on was it wasn't entrepreneurial. It wasn't starting a business. And that's what I really wanted to do. And I thought, well, I love music still. How can I channel this energy into the industry? And that's where Music Munch started. Was I saw a need, which is musicians struggle with business aspects.
So true. All creative entrepreneurs have that struggle.
Right, exactly. And I do as myself, but I found that I was a little more type A personality than most of my colleagues.
Yes.
And so that's where the business started. That's where the foundation for that idea came about.
Well, many people say the same thing about the music business, that it's extremely difficult to make a go, it's your passion, but it's extremely difficult to actually make it your way of living.
Of making money.
Yes,
yeah.
monetizing
Exactly.
it.
How do you do that?
How do you feel about that subject, and how do you advise people about that?
Well, first off, I always think, and I've heard from lots of other great musicians and musicpreneurs, that you just have to do it. There is no other way for you to make a living. You could do other things, but you won't ever be happy doing them. And that's actually what I found is after I left grad school, I did try some other things thinking, well, maybe I should explore other options and a career. And the truth be told that none of them excited me like music does. So I knew I had to find a way. And that would be my first piece of advice is just you have to know. And you have to tell yourself every morning when you wake up, this is what I'm meant to do. So you've got to have that motivation. Second is really looking inside and deciding or realizing what it is that you believe. And then finding a way to tell that story. Because all of us believe different things. And that's what makes certain bands popular with certain groups of people. Is because those bands know what they believe and they brand themselves as such. And then they connect with the fans and the people who believe the same things.
Messaging.
Exactly.
The messaging is really important.
And knowing what your message is first before you start speaking.
So
Absolutely.
that's what differentiates you in the marketplace then.
As a manager, yeah, I know exactly what I believe. And that is, I base my business on integrity and giving every musician all my energy to help them pursue a career. So those are my beliefs, and then it's a matter of finding people who are willing to make the sacrifices to make it happen.
Well, you are both a musician, but then Music Munch is really a management opportunity for bands.
Right.
And so let's say that you're in the process of determining who you might like to represent, and you're looking for those special elements in a band. What kinds of characteristics would you be looking for?
The first is I go with my gut. If I listen and I see something that excites me, that's first. And then next is getting to know them on a personal level, whether it's be an artist or a whole band, and kind of engaging how we interact and whether it's a exciting fit. And then the third element is, I mentioned it earlier, the element of sacrifice, because it does. Music is, I don't think there's a harder way to make a living. So you have to be willing.
Why do you say that? What makes it so difficult?
I think largely it's because music is really an emotional business, in that we are in business because of how we make people feel. And that can be a hard thing to describe and to monetize. Whereas, so many other industries are based on a very tangible product that you can actually see, touch, and feel, or on a service, or you can consume, exactly, which, in America we know plenty about that. Or it's a service that you have to have, insurance, for example. Music is none of those things.
Right.
Music is truly an emotional, uplifting thing, and that can be even as I'm trying to describe it, it's a hard thing to describe and get people to spend money on. So that's why I say it's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult. And that's why that third element is you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot to let's give this a go.
So when you say sacrifice and you're looking at bands in the marketplace and you're making some decisions about representing them or working with them, what types of characteristics, when you say sacrifice, what types of characteristics are you really looking for in terms of the elements that you're looking for in the band?
It's work ethic, really.
Work ethic.
I mean, when everybody shows up on time for rehearsal, when you have band meetings, everybody's there, focused. When you ask, hey guys, can you do this for me? And they do it. That's the sacrifice I'm talking about. Instead of, man, I really just want to drink a beer. Well, it's like, well, drink your beer and send out that email for me. Or you know what I mean? Or I need your schedule. Drink your beer, send me your schedule. Those are the kind of sacrifices I'm talking about. Willing to put your career first above all else.
And it's difficult because many of the musicians, at least the ones that I know, are already working a full-time job, and they are spending hours already during the day, and then they have to come to a practice, in the evening or on the weekend. So it's
their time
double
of
duty.
Rest. Yep, but that's what it takes. I mean, to accomplish something that you really want, you have to do something more than most people are willing to do. That's just how it is. You can't do the status quo and expect to get more.
Yeah.
you're only going to get the status quo. So you've got to find a way to store that energy, if you will, because that's how I think of it too. When I'm at work, I'm like, I got to store my energy for when I leave, so for my business. Because that's my true passion is my business, and that's
And
what
it's
I
that
see.
transition that's kind of difficult, moving from having a full-time job to becoming a full-time creative entrepreneur.
Exactly, because it's a mental shift as well, because it can be throw a rut into your focus if you have to go to a job, and then now I got to go to a practice. But the thing is, you have to understand as well that the sacrifice is worth it as long as you find a way to positively reinforce what you're doing. And that's why it's really important for musicians and any entrepreneurs to surround yourself by people who are positive, who have succeeded or are like you and want that success. Get rid of anybody who's going to be an anchor. Just get rid of them, because they will slow you down and they might stop you from succeeding. So start building a team of people who think like you do and want you to succeed just like you want them to succeed.
I like that because when I visualize, even with our band, after people put in 10 or 12 hours and they come to practice, not only they have to practice as a group, they have to practice individually.
Yeah.
They have to write separately. They're constantly working this business of music. And then the business aspects of it, which take yet a totally
different
another
mindset,
realm of
totally
work
different kind of
ethic.
energy. Yeah.
Yep. So hopefully what we're going to do is we're going to create some opportunities to help a lot of our musician friends in the Denver metro area to network, to find those types of support networks that they
and
need.
opportunities.
And the
'Cause,
opportunities,
not everybody is
introductions.
the right fit for someone else, but by having a strong network, we can find that someone who is right for that, maybe that connect you have.
Yeah, and get some collaboration going on,
And that's the best. Yep. Ideas, sharing ideas.
Sharing ideas and building upon it. And I find the Denver marketplace is amazing, not only with entrepreneurs in general. I mean, just think about this event.
Right.
So many people stepped up to provide a free concert to the students here at Auraria and to collaborate with one another and get to know one another, and everybody gets uplifted at the same time. So it's really
I think
cool.
I think the Mile High City definitely has energy that is rare as a collective whole. A city that you could just say, man, that city has energy.
Right.
Denver is that city.
And putting the music scene in Denver, definitely on the map.
Oh, it's happening. I talk to people every day who say, yeah, I moved here for the music scene. And it's happening faster. So it's a very exciting place to be right now.
Well, you
And
have
will
a
continue to
lineup
be.
this afternoon.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You have
exactly.
a lineup this evening. You
Right.
know? So you'll be speaking to Kerr, the Driftin' Sons, which is the band that is featured here at Create MSU Denver right now. James and the Devil and Vices I Admire, that are both Westward Showcase winners this year in 2013, which is so cool. And the Bunny Gang featuring Nathan Maxwell with Flogging Molly.
Right, and they moved from LA to Denver. I mean, so that says something.
And you may also have a special dignitary
Yep, I'm hoping to.
step
Yeah,
in later
definitely.
today. So thank you so much. Thank you
Great.
for sponsoring Own It, because
Absolutely.
you are also a sponsor.
Thank you. No,
and
thank
we
you.
look forward to playing the interviews and working with you on this networking project that we've got going on. So
I'm thrilled.
Really, really happy to have you with us, Harrison.
Thank you, Angela.
Take care.
You too.